Beyond fame and chaos, the gentle heartbeat of Jamie and Amelia's life together. The road to the Dornan home winds through fields the color of burnt honey, past stone walls and hedgerows that seem to have been there since before people bothered with fences. At the end sits a farmhouse, neither sprawling nor modest, simply right. Smoke rises from a narrow chimney, and somewhere inside, the laughter of children overlaps with the bark of an enthusiastic dog who refuses to be left out of introductions. When Jamie Dornan opens the door, he's in wool socks and a flannel shirt, hair still damp from the morning rain. "You'll have to excuse the chaos," he says with the grin of a man who knows the chaos is precisely the point. "I tried to tidy up, but the girls stage a coup every time I touch their art projects." From the kitchen, Amelia Warner calls back, "They're masterpieces, and you know it." Her voice has that musical warmth familiar to anyone who has heard her compositions. It carries calm even when it teases. The everyday symphony. They've lived here for several years now, trading the sharp pace of London for something that breathes slower. Jamie pours coffee into 2 mugs that don't match. "Everything in this house," he says, handing one over, "has a backstory that involves a broken version of something else. We're sentimental hoarders." The table between us is scattered with drawings, mermaids, trees, a portrait of what appears to be a guitar with legs. "That's me," he explains, proud. "Apparently I walk like a musical instrument." Amelia walks in, hair loosely braided, wearing one of Jamie's old jumpers. She sets down a plate of scones and sits beside him as naturally as breathing. There's no staged affection here. The connection feels lived in, the way long marriages sound rather than look. "When you meet couples like this," says the photographer later, "you realize the word chemistry is overused. It's not chemistry, it's conversation. They never stop talking, even when they're quiet." Remembering the first song. Jamie met Amelia more than a decade ago at a party he almost skipped. He remembers the details with the clarity of someone who knows where everything began. "I was exhausted. I'd been filming non-stop and planned to go straight home. But a friend said, 'Come on, it's 5 minutes away, you'll regret it if you don't.' He was right." Amelia was standing near a piano. "I thought she was too cool to talk to me," Jamie admits. And she was. She still is. She laughs. "He was wearing the most ridiculous scarf I've ever seen. It was freezing," he protests. "Inside a room with heating," she counters. The banter is effortless, it's their rhythm. Later, when the party quieted, Amelia played a few chords on the piano, her own song, tender and uncertain. Jamie listened, and something in him shifted. "I didn't know then that I was listening to my future." They married privately in 2013, with barely a headline. "We didn't need fireworks," Amelia says. "We just wanted music and people we love." Learning the art of ordinary. The couple agree that the most romantic thing about marriage isn't grand gestures, it's reliability. "It's the tea waiting on the counter when you get home," Jamie says. "It's her knowing I need quiet before a shoot, or me knowing she hates small talk before coffee. Those are the things that build a life." Amelia nods. "You have to protect the small rituals. The world will always try to turn love into spectacle, especially in this business. But our best moments are invisible ones." They have a rule: no phones at the table, no work talk after 8. "Otherwise we'd never stop," Jamie laughs. "I'd be reading scripts while she's mixing music, and the kids would be raising themselves on toast." Their evenings are wonderfully unremarkable, family dinners, Amelia composing in her small studio, Jamie helping with homework or practicing guitar badly but earnestly. "She's the real musician," he insists. "I'm just the roadie who fell in love with the star." Amelia rolls her eyes affectionately. "He's better than he admits. And he's my favorite audience." Weathering the storms. Every marriage has its tempests. Fame only adds wind. When Jamie's career exploded after 50 Shades of Grey, the spotlight threatened to melt the quiet world they had built. "It was surreal," he says. "One day you're just an actor hoping for the next job, The next, everyone's got an opinion about your personal life. How did they survive it? Amelia answers first, by remembering who we were before the noise. Jamie nods. Amelia never saw me as that guy on the poster. At home, I was still the one taking the bins out. The fame didn't enter through the front door because she didn't open it for it. He admits that at times the attention was overwhelming. There were days I'd come home and feel like a stranger in my own skin. Amelia would just hand me a cup of tea and say, "Right, who's hungry?" It's impossible to stay inflated when someone loves you that normally. The lesson, he says, was humility. Marriage grounds you. You can't perform intimacy. It's either there or it isn't. Amelia doesn't care about the industry. She cares about whether I'm present. And I've learned that presence is love's currency. Laughter as medicine. Halfway through our conversation, one of their daughters bursts into the room, waving a drawing. "Daddy, I made you a monster," she announces proudly. "Perfect timing," Jamie says. "I was just being too serious." He kneels to inspect the artwork. "It's terrifying. I love it." Amelia laughs from the sofa. "See? That's us. Drama meets comedy." Laughter, they both agree, is their secret ingredient. "We laugh constantly," Amelia says. "It's impossible to stay mad when someone makes you laugh." Jamie nods. "Even our arguments end in jokes. She'll roll her eyes and I'll do something stupid like quote Shakespeare in a terrible accent until she cracks." He turns to her. "You do forgive me too quickly sometimes." "Because you're ridiculous," she shoots back. It's easy to see why they work. Their humor is gentle, never at the other's expense. They share the same language of kindness. "There's no ego in this house," Amelia says. "The kids wouldn't allow it." Creating together, separately. Both artists in their own right, they've learned to support each other's work without competing. "We respect each other's space," Amelia explains. "When he's preparing for a role, I give him that time. And when I'm writing music, he makes sure I have silence, even if that means taking the girls out for ice cream." Jamie smiles. "Best part of my job, honestly. Ice cream duty." Their creative worlds often overlap in subtler ways. Jamie sometimes reads Amelia's lyrics, she gives feedback on his scripts. She has a great instinct for honesty, he says. If something feels forced, she spots it immediately. Amelia shrugs modestly. "I just remind him not to overthink. The best performances come from truth, not technique." He laughs. "That's basically marriage advice too." The weekend philosophy. Saturday mornings in the Dornan home have their own ritual. Jamie cooks pancakes, badly, he insists, though the girls disagree, and Amelia plays old records while the kitchen fills with syrup and music. Afterwards, they head out for long walks along the hills behind their home. "It's where we reset," Amelia says. "No phones, no plans. Just space to breathe." On those walks, they talk about everything and nothing. What the kids said that morning, what book she's reading, which role he might take next. "We dream small," Jamie says. "That's the trick. Everyone chases big dreams, but the small ones, getting through the week, keeping everyone smiling, that's real success." When they return, the girls usually race ahead, and Amelia takes Jamie's hand for those last quiet meters to the door. "It's a habit," she says, smiling. "We always hold hands when we come home. It's like telling the universe, we made it back again." A love that grows up. Asked what he's learned about love after a decade of marriage, Jamie takes his time. "I used to think love was all fireworks, big gestures, intense emotion. But the longer I'm with Amelia, the more I realize love matures. It gets quieter, but stronger." Amelia adds, "It's about choice. You keep choosing each other, even on the boring days, even when everything's messy. Especially then." Jamie nods. "That's marriage. You wake up and decide, I'm in this. Still. And somehow that decision feels brand new every day." He leans back, smiling at her. "It's easy to be romantic about someone when life is perfect. But it's more meaningful to stay romantic when you're both tired, when the sink's full of dishes and the dog's eaten the mail. Amelia grins. That actually happened last week. I know, he laughs. I'm using it as a metaphor now. The private promise. Before leaving, I ask Jamie if there's something he still dreams of achieving, not as an actor, but as a husband. He thinks for a long moment. To make sure she always feels seen, he says quietly, "It's easy to take your partner for granted when life gets busy. But I never want a day to pass without her knowing she matters." Amelia looks at him, touched but amused. "You can quote that in your article," she says, "but make sure you also mention that he still can't remember where we keep the scissors." He grins. "Balance, right?" "Exactly," she says. They exchange a glance full of shared history, inside jokes, late nights, and unspoken gratitude. In that look, you see what a decade of love can build when it's treated not as a fairy tale, but as a daily craft. The portrait of contentment. As the afternoon light softens, Amelia leaves to pick up the girls from a neighbor's house. Jamie walks me to the garden gate. The fields stretch behind him, green and gold. He looks utterly at peace. "People think happiness is a destination," he says. "But for me, it's this. Waking up next to the person who knows you best, watching your kids grow, laughing at stupid things. That's all I've ever wanted." He pauses, hands in his pockets, eyes on the horizon. "You know, I've played so many complicated characters, broken men, lonely men. But the truth is, my favorite role is being hers." A few moments later, Amelia's car appears at the bend in the road. The girls spill out, running toward him with wild joy. He lifts one onto his shoulders, another into his arms, the smallest hanging from his leg like a koala. Amelia laughs, camera phone in hand. He glances at her and mouths, "Thank you." The photographer gets his final shot, sunlight caught in their laughter, the ordinary miracle of family. It won't go viral, and that's exactly how they like it. As I turn back toward the lane, I hear Jamie's voice carried on the wind, half joke, half truth. "See? I told you. I really am the luckiest man alive." And for once, it doesn't sound like an interview quote. It sounds like a prayer that's already been answered.